Hey Chaotic Crew, Brian here, and today we've got another Marvel Superhero Precon review, upgrade, and potential giveaway. Make sure if you want to win one of the Precons from this set of your choosing, if you're in the US, to comment down below your favorite Marvel movie, period. For me, I have to say Black Panther's a great choice. It's probably why it's up here. It's many people's favorites. I do love the second Captain America too. Really, that whole era is just filled with fantastic films. Civil War is really great too. I don't know. Black Panther is one of my favorites for sure. So I'm going to say that right now, especially because it's on theme here. We're going over the Wakanda Forever deck. Before I dive into the commanders and the deck list here, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Manapool. Manapool is a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and the team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. So, what all does this deck have to offer? We are going to be taking 15 cards out and 15 cards in. Commanders here, it is in green-white, and there are a bunch of cards that could be a commander, but these are the two kind of face cards that they would want to build the deck around, so to speak. So T'Challa, the Black Panther, 3 mana for a 2/2. Whenever T'Challa enters or attacks, make a tapped Vibranium token. It's an artifact with Indestructible, and tap, add colorless. This mana cannot be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. So it can be used for abilities, it can be used for lots of stuff, but as long as you don't use it to cast any non-artifact spells, you're golden. And then whenever you cast an artifact spell with mana value 4 or greater, put 2+1/+1 counters on T'Challa. So T'Challa really cares about making himself big and casting big spells. So that's great because making himself big makes it easier for him to attack. If he can attack in, even if he's chump blocked, right, you still make that Vibranium token. So he's kind of semi-ramping you to cast those bigger artifacts. Shuri, the Black Panther, is the alternate commander, 2 mana for a 2/3 lifelink. Whenever Shuri attacks, draw a card. Then if you control 3 or more artifacts, then if you control 6 or more artifacts, creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. So she's low to the ground, which you think is going to be really good, but you need to have 3 artifacts to proc that first trigger. And if you don't have 3 artifacts, it can get kind of tough because you want that repeated card draw. And then having 6 or more makes Shuri a 4/5 with lifelink, which is pretty nice too. So Shuri's nice. T'Challa is really great here too, but I think this deck is built more around casting those mana value 4 or greater artifacts. Now, how Wizards built this deck is there is very much a sub-theme of monarchy. And while I love the Monarchy, I think it's a really great card to have in any deck. I would really have appreciated maybe just a couple cards that have Monarchy, because the problem is there's a lot of cards that give you the Monarchy, but then no payoff, right? The payoff is just drawing an extra card each turn. But if you have 3 cards that give you Monarchy, they're not going to draw you 3 separate cards. They're only going to give you 1 card each, right? So, or 1 card total. So it's not great to have a ton of cards that just give you the Monarchy. You really want to take advantage of it. But we'll dive into some of those cards as we get into the newer cards here. But Dora, Melage Elite, I'm probably butchering that, but 2 mana 2/2 first strike. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, make a tap the Vibranium token. Really great card there. And then you can sacrifice this creature to make a legendary permanent you control, gain indestructible until end of turn. So pretty neat there. Works very well. Everett K. Ross, hapless attaché. 2 of anything and a white for a 1/3 human advisor. Commander creatures you control get +1/+1 in lifelink. So giving, T'Challa, which is going to get massive, right? +1/+1 in lifelink is pretty strong there. And then also, whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 more creatures, draw a card. Really nice to have some card draw engines in here since your commander, T'Challa, right? And we're not really running Shuri as the commander, we're running T'Challa. Doesn't really have card draws. So being able to draw more cards is pretty great there. And of course, the Monarchy makes it so that opponents want to attack you, and so if they want to steal the Monarchy from you, this gives you a card. Hatut Strike Force. I think I pronounced that right, but maybe I didn't. But it's a 2/2 for 4 mana. When you cast it, you copy it for each time you cast your commander from the command zone, and then when it enters, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. So pretty great there. Just 4 mana, destroy typically 2 or 3 enchantments is pretty strong. So love that there. Queen Mother Ramonda, 5 mana for a 3/5. Whenever she enters, you become the monarch. And then as long as you're the monarch, creatures with power 2 or less can't attack you. So this could be strong in a deck, but doesn't really fulfill this. It's sort of more of a pillow 40 kind of card in this deck, which I guess if you're making a big beater that's swinging in every turn, you know, might be nice to have some kind of pillow 40 effects, but we'll need to see the rest of the deck to see if this is worth keeping in, right? M'Baku, Jabari Chieftain, 3 mana 4/3. At the beginning of your end step, if there is no monarch, target opponent becomes the monarch. And then whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, if that player is the monarch, that creature gets +1/+1 against trample until end of turn. So ways that if, you know, people steal the monarchy from you, then it's easy for it to move around between different opponents and gives them more incentive to attack the monarch that isn't you. So interesting card here to have, but again, what does it really do for the deck? Very good flavor wins, by the way, right? I love the flavor here. Nakia, Wakandan Operative, 3 mana 3/3 with reach. Whenever your commander enters, you become the monarch. Then you can pay 2 mana, tap, and put 2+1 counters on target creature or vehicle, activate only as a sorcery. So really just a 3 mana 3/3 that sometimes makes you the monarchy, right? So an opponent could be the monarch, and then if your commander enters, then you become the monarch. So it's not all worthless if the monarchy is already in play, but again, not doing a whole lot. Really just a 3 mana 3/3 that gets counters on stuff for 2 mana. It's pretty expensive for what it really does. Wakabi, Shield of the Nation, is 2 mana 2/3 with Vigilance. Whenever you attack with your commander, you control an artifact with mana value 4 or greater. Create a 4/4 green Rhino creature token with Trample. Now, this is someone that kind of goes alongside with what your commander wants to do. Your commander cares about artifacts, mana value 4 or greater. This is the first card we've seen that really kind of, you know, does something with that, right? It's another payoff for casting those spells, making you your commander already wants to attack to make the vibranium tokens, so this is great there. And then, right, you're typically casting those spells, so you're going to have them on the battlefield. So making extra 4/4s is pretty solid. Tsuri, Warrior of Wakanda, 2 mana 2/2 trample. Whenever you cast an artifact spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Again, a card that actually works really well, synergizes with what the commander is trying to do here. And your deck also kind of cares about +1/+1 counters, so this is very much a strong card in the deck. Bast, Panther Goddess, 4 mana 4/4, Legendary Cat God, Reach, Trample, Indestructible. Bast can't attack or block unless you control 3 or more creatures. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So, pretty neat there. You can make Bast get really big and have Trample, or it already has Trample, but get extra big if you have a lot of creatures. Or it can give something else with Trample, some good stuff. So nice there. Okoye, Mighty and Adored, is a 3/3 for 4 mana, which when she enters, you become the monarch. Beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever that creature attacks the monarch this turn, it gains double strike and trample until end of turn. So Okoye, actually probably one of the best cards here that gives you the monarch because it's giving trample and double strike to your creatures. And really, the creature we care about the most is our commander, because our commander is going to get absolutely massive with the artifacts we cast. Then, you know, we want our opponents to take that monarchy. Take it, right? Take the monarchy, I dare you. So, very strong there. Shuri, we already talked about. And then Storm, Queen of Wakanda. 5 mana 4/5 flyer. Whenever Storm attacks until end of turn, another target attacking creature gains flying. And +X/+O or X is Storm's power. Whenever a creature with flying attacks you, Storm deals damage equal to her power to that creature. So pretty neat there to get some flyers to not attack you, right? Could be very good in that regard. But the only other thing it's doing is giving T'Challa flying, which isn't bad, right? Some evasion is nice, so you can get in with your massive commander. But again, it doesn't really fulfill the game plan of casting artifacts. We are running 24 creatures, and right now most of them don't really follow what the commander wants to do, what either of the commanders want to do. So like a flavor win, but maybe a deck fail. T'Chaka, Venerable King, 2 mana for a 2/2. When T'Chaka enters, mill 3 cards. Then you may put an artifact or land card from among the milled cards into your hand, and pay 3, exile this card from your graveyard. You become the monarch, activate only if you control your commander. So this kind of merges both of these cards. honestly, with the way this deck is built, you might want T'Chaka to be your commander, right? When he enters, you mill 3 cards, you put an artifact or land from them into your hand, so you care about having those artifacts in the deck, and then you can pay 3 exile from your graveyard if he dies to just become the monarch, right? But you can't do that actually if he's your commander, because you have to do it if you control your commander. So never mind, T'Chaka sucks as a commander. I was trying to see a good side here, but there really isn't that great one. Panther Robot is actually fantastic though. 10 mana, 8/8, but it has affinity for artifacts, so probably going to be casting or costing somewhere between like 4 or 5 realistically for 8, and then it's reach trample, so not bad. Procs your commander, and is nice to have. Loyal Retainers is a reprint. 3 mana, 1/1. Sacrifice it. Return target legendary creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only during your turn before attackers are declared. Birds of Paradise is a great reprint here. Metalwork Colossus also really strong to get a cheap, massive artifact creature onto the battlefield, and this can also return from your graveyard to your hand, so nice there. Solemn Simulacrum is a 4 mana artifact that ramps you and draws you a card when it dies, so it's pretty good to have on the battlefield. Even though this is a green deck in which you usually don't care about having that, it does help with our commander, so we'll keep it in there for now. Fleecemane Lion is interesting because the monstrosity cost here is making it hexproof and indestructible. I don't hate it, but at the same time, it doesn't really do a whole lot, right? Having a 4/4 hexproof indestructible for, you know, even if the Vibranium tokens are helping cast this, it's for 4 mana. Doesn't really do a ton for us, right? Ingenious Smith is pretty great though. Entering, you can get an artifact from the top 4 cards of your library, put it in your hand. And then it gives itself +1/+1 counter, so it definitely cares more. Like it's replacing itself a lot of the time. It's not every time. You'll whiff occasionally, but pretty nice there. Palace Jailer is interesting. One of the best Monarch cards because when it enters, not only do you become the Monarch, you exile a creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the Monarch. That being said, this deck doesn't have a lot of great ways to protect against people hitting you and taking that Monarchy, so it's probably not going to stay exiled for a while unless it's a problem for the other players on the board too, and then they might be like, okay, well, we'll keep you the Monarchy so that way that creature stays off the board. But some politics there, not a bad card by any means. Loyal Guardian is interesting. It's a 4/4 trampler for 5, and if you have your commander at the beginning of combat, it gets a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So interesting there. Meteor Golem, also a great high mana value artifact that's going to be, destroying any permanent. So not bad. Enchantment, Divine Visitation, again, great flavor win here for comic fans, right? Getting these 4/4 angels instead of other tokens. The only problem is this has to be creature tokens, and our commander only makes Vibranium tokens, so not great. The only other person in the deck that's really making a ton of tokens is Wakabi, is making those 4/4 rhinos, but those are already really strong. These don't really buff that up that much, right? There are a couple other cards that make some other tokens, but Divine Visitation is kind of very questionable in this deck. Greater Good's interesting though. Sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to its power, then discard 3 cards. So, if someone tries to remove your commander, you could sacrifice this, draw 10 cards, discard 3. I think it's not bad to have in the deck, but it's definitely an interesting choice to put here too, because again, you're not really doing a whole lot with this. Artifact, we got 24 artifacts here, and most of them are going to be 4 or higher, so that's really great to see that, but let's dive into those. King Solomon's Frogs is a 4 mana artifact with flash. Whenever it enters, if you cast it for each opponent, exile up to 1 target permanent that player controls with mana value 3 or greater. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller draws a card. So getting rid of 3 things for your opponent to draw a card. Sure, they replace the things, but they don't get them back, right? This does not exile them until this leaves the field. This just is exiling those things, and it replaces it in their hand. And typically, if they're going to be pretty important pieces, the card they draw is not going to be able to a 1-to-1 replacement. So I think this is actually a really strong card. Having Flash makes it really great in the deck, and then you can also later use this to become the Monarch and draw a card. So I like it a lot too. Midnight Angel Armor is a fantastic new equipment. When it enters, you make a 1/1 white soldier, then attach it to it. Equipped creature gets +3/+3, has flying and vigilance. So it pretty much just makes it's a Sarah Angel on a stick or equipment, right? And not bad at all, but you can give it to your commander to give it flying and vigilance, which are 2 great keywords for it to have. So not bad there. Royal Talon Fighter Jet is X and 2 white for a flying vehicle. It enters with X plus and plus encounters on it. Whenever this vehicle enters or attacks, create a number of 1/1 white soldier tokens equal to the number of plus and plus encounters on it, and you accrue 2. Now with your commander, you're going to be wanting to pay at least 2 into this, right? So you can make your commander proc, and then that only makes it a 3/3 flyer that gives you 2 soldiers. So 5 power for 4 mana, and it's okay, but it's not great, right? It's really not. Spear of Bashenga, it's a 5 mana equipment. When it enters, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. And then whenever a equipped creature attacks the monarch, destroy target tapped non-land permanent that player controls. So this is something that actually, is pretty great here. There are only a couple of cards that really care about attacking the monarch, right? The Spear of Bashenga is one of them, and then you have Okoye, which is also fantastic. And that's what we mean. We want payoffs for the monarchy being on the battlefield, right? People are going to take the monarchy from us, that's fine, but then give us something when we're going to attack the player with the monarch, or give us extra value when being the monarch. That's what makes these monarch cards actually good. So Spear of Bashenga, destroying a non-land permanent that's tapped, is pretty great. Heart-shaped herb, if a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage, so pretty solid there. Tap it and pay 2 to sacrifice it, and sacrifice a creature. If you do, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with 3 plus and plus counters on it, and you become the monarch. So pretty much just, protecting something, having it come back with counters, and if someone else is the monarch, you're the monarch. So instead of giving someone the monarch draw, if they have it, you can do this. Make your commander come back, or whatever creature come back, and you're now the monarch. Kamoyo Beads is pretty neat. 4 mana. Beginning of your end step, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Draw a card, make 2 1/1 soldiers, or you gain 3 life, exile this artifact, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So, pretty neat there. You're going to be drawing a card, making some soldiers, and then gaining 3 life. Honestly, it might just be better just to draw a card and then gain 3 life and alternate between those two, right? Because then you can just constantly reset and draw a card, and the draw card aspect is definitely the best part of this. Nyami class Mothership, 6 mana, 5/7 vehicle, flying, vigilance, and haste. Whenever this vehicle does combat damage to a player, look at the top card of your library. If it's a permanent, you may put it on the battlefield. If you don't put it on the battlefield, put it into your hand. So pretty great there. Crew 3, love that. Even though it's 6 mana, it's pretty strong for what it does. And in a deck that has pretty high mana value artifacts in here, 2/3 of the time being able to get something strong is nice. Panther Habit, 4 mana equipment, and what it does is if a creature that's equipped would be dealt damage, prevent it, and put that many plus and plus counters on it, equip 2. So very, very good there, especially with their commander, just making it get so big so quickly, and yeah, a very strong card there. Then we have Shuri's Fabricator. When it enters, create 2 tapped Vibranium tokens, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter as a sorcery for 6 mana and tapping this. So you're already going to be able to do this the following turn, right? If you have 10 mana available already, then that's fine too. But yeah, something to think about there. Vibranium Mining Mech, 4 mana for a 6/6 vehicle with trample. Whenever this vehicle enters or attacks, make a tapped Vibranium token. Then it has pay 2 mana. This vehicle gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So this can actually do some damage, right? If we have like 6 Vibranium tokens, this can get +3/+0. It's a pretty strong there, and only needs 2 map power to crew it. Vibranium Strike Gauntlets, 4 mana for equipment with flash. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this is a great little combat trick here that also buffs our commander when you cast it, right? So really neat. Conduit of Worlds is interesting. You can play lands from your graveyard, and then you can play non-land cards from it, potentially. So not bad there. Coveted Jewel draws you cards at 3 mana, but if someone attacks you and deals damage, they take it, they draw 3 cards and untaps it. So pretty interesting there. Gilded Lotus gets you mana. Helm of the Host is great equipment, great reprint in the deck, but not doing a ton. I guess I'm sure you'll make extra Vibranium tokens with your commander, but there's not really great targets for this, I feel like. Trading Post is okay. It's not bad. It's not good. It's somewhere in between. Skyglass is a board wipe based off of artifacts. Could hurt yourself more than it can help yourself, just because some decks are fully artifact focused and some are not. So just keep that in mind with this. Hammer and Dazan is fantastic to make your commander indestructible and you get free equips on stuff. Mind's Eye helps you draw cards, which is really great. Sword of the Animist is a way to ramp up, which is always nice. Thran Dynamo just gets you mana. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and then Whisper Silk Cloak is a way to make your commander unblockable, which is very strong. Very strong in that deck, where he's going to be getting a ton of counters, and then the Shroud, of course, makes it difficult to remove. Fight for the Throne, 2 mana instant, puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then it fights target creature and opponent controls. When the creature and opponent controls die this turn, if you control your commander, you become the monarch. So this is kind of neat. Early game removal that makes you the monarch, draws you a card. Not bad. Dispatch is classic. Generous Gift, great removal. Beast Within, same thing. Valorous Stance can destroy a big creature or make your commander indestructible until end of turn, so pretty strong. Ancestral Communion, 2 mana sorcery. When you cast a spell while you control your commander, copy it. You may choose a new target for the copy. This returns target permanent from your graveyard to your hand, so you get 2 permanents from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty neat here, not bad at all. Wakanda Forever is a 6 mana sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card from among them on the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand, and the rest go into your graveyard. So really strong here to get some strong cards out for free, and 1 into your hand. Martial Coup is a board wipe that gets you some tokens. Vanquish the Horde's a board wipe that costs less for each creature on the battlefield. Nature's Lore is a good way to ramp. Overwhelming Stampede is a game ender for sure. Harmonize draws you some cards. And then you're running 38 cards. There's a new land called the Great Mound, which can make Vibranium tokens and draw you cards. So pretty neat there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say, again, the biggest thing this deck struggles with is theming. There are 24 artifacts, right? And most, if not all of them, are more like proc your commander. But that's only a quarter of the deck. And you really want to be getting the most out of these Vibranium tokens. You want to be getting the most out of, getting these counters. So something to think about reformatting this deck to be more Monarch focused or more artifact focused. And I think the better way to go about it is definitely, add some artifacts. So let's see what cards we're going to take out and what we're going to put in here. Okay, so to start out, we're taking out 8 of these creatures, right? Fleece Mane Lion, 2 mana 3/3. Essentially, if you use the Vibranium tokens, it can be a 4 mana 4/4 with Hexproof and Indestructible. It just doesn't do enough for us to really keep it in. Loyal Guardian is cool, how it's constantly giving our creatures counters, but it doesn't advance our game plan. Neither does Loyal Retainer. Sure, it can get stuff out of the graveyard, but we need to be able to cast stuff first. It's important, and it's not an artifact. Same with M'Baku, Nakia, Queen Mother Ramonda. They all care about the monarchy, but they just make you the monarch. There's not a whole lot of reason for having it. M'Baku, you could argue, if your opponent is the monarch, right, you can make your commander get +1/+1 and trample, but there are better ways to give trample than hoping an opponent has the monarchy, right? So definitely taking him out. Palace Jailer, I thought to keep in because Palace Jailer is removal, right? But it is pretty weak removal. And then T'Chaka doesn't really do a whole lot. Sure, it can get us an artifact or land from cards we mill into our hand, but at the end of the day, it's not doing a whole lot here. We really want to focus on getting these artifacts in. We're taking out Martial Coup. I am removing 3 artifacts. Conduit of Worlds doesn't do a whole lot for us. Don't have many lands that we can play from our graveyard. And then, sure, we can cast it on the permanent card, but that's at the opportunity cost of casting any additional spells in the turn. So, I don't know. Something to think about. Royal Talon Fighter Jet, again, doesn't do enough, and it doesn't really... Like, sure, it's an artifact you can pour mana into, but at the same time, I don't know. You might like it because the X and the Vibranium tokens can give you a lot of soldier tokens and a lot of +1/+1 counters on this. I just don't think it's that worth it. As far as enchantments, we talked about Divine Visitation and Greater Good. The Greater Good's okay, but again, you require sacrificing your own creature. Divine Visitation, also, we're not making enough creature tokens for this to matter. We even took out a creature token card. So yeah, something to think up there. Throne of the High City, it's just a colorless land that makes us the Monarch. We already have enough Monarch cards in the deck already. I don't think we need a land to do that as well. So that brings us down to 37 lands. Now, going over the creatures that we're adding in, there's actually 7, but they're all artifacts, right? And most of them, half of them that we're adding, are actually above 4 mana. So pretty nice there. Bronze Guardian is going to get pretty big here. Has double strike. It's giving our other artifacts ward too, and it's going to be massive, right? That's the idea here. Diadrin, Synthesis Amalgam, is an artifact that can be 4 mana value or higher. Enters with plus encounters on it, so it cares about that too. It has trample, which is great. Whenever we attack, you can remove a plus encounter for each of 2 creatures we control, right? And if we do, draw a card and make a 2/2 robot. So love that. Pretty great there. Esper Sentinel can draw some cards. If we can give it counters, great, but a lot of times it's probably not going to get counters. Foundry Inspector, Dwyer's Familiar, and Voyager Quick Welder are all 3 ways for our make our bigger artifacts cost a lot less, right? I think that's really great. And this Dwyer's Familiar makes historic spells cost 1 less too, and is 4 mana. So it procs our commander and makes our commander cost less. So something to keep in mind. Steel Seraph, rounding up the creatures here. It's just going to be able to give our commander flying, lifelink, or vigilance, whatever we feel like we need at any given time. And if we need to play this early game, we can too, but with Prototype, right? But I think most of the time we're going to be able to cast it for 6 and pretty much go off. So that's nice to have here as well. As far as instants, we're adding Heroic Intervention just because we need another way to protect our creatures. I think you could definitely take out more cards and put in more cards that protect your commander, but this is a pretty good one, and I thought the art was very flavorful as well from this secret layer here. Then 6 artifacts we're adding in too. Adaptive Omni Tool, just another equipment that is going to buff our commander a lot, and then whenever it attacks, you may look at the top 6 cards, reveal an artifact, put it into our hand. So it's kind of like card draw. So pretty neat there. We are running Shadow Spear as another cheap artifact, kind of a way to give trample and lifelink. Literally the replacement to M'Baku, right? M'Baku is very situational trample, but Shadow Spear always gives it. Also has the plus side of making our permanents or opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible. So just strong overall. Leyline Axe is a card we can, open the game with on the battlefield, but if not, can proc our commander. It'll also give whatever it's equipped to double strike and trample. And then Camille, the Inner Sun, is a great way to make it so our spells can't be countered, but also discovers at the beginning of our end step, which is very strong here. And then Mystic Forge as well as another 4 mana artifact that's going to give us some card advantage. Let us look at the top card of our library. Let us cast artifact spells from the top, and even remove the top card of our library if it doesn't suit our needs. Swiftfoot Boots to round up the artifacts, just because we want to protect our commander more. Giving it hexproof really helps with that. And then enchantments, we are getting Terra Symbiosis added in. And one of the reasons you want this in the deck is because you're getting 2 plus encounters each time you cast one of these spells. Why not draw 2 cards off of it, right? I think this deck having more card draw is really important when your commander struggles to do so. So, right, adding in cards like Diadran, like Esper Sentinel, and Mystic Forge, Adaptive Omni Tool, right, Terra Symbiosis, even Camille, that gets you more card advantage is just so important there as well. You could also add in the Ozolith, right? I don't think you necessarily need it. It's definitely nice to have, right? So if your commander dies or any of your other creatures die, you keep those counters. But I don't think you need that, but it's definitely another honorable mention, I would say. So those are the 15 cards I'm taking out, the 15 cards I'm putting in. Let me know what you thought down below, and also like the video. Make sure, if you want to win that Precon of the Marvel superhero set of your choosing to anyone in the US is eligible, just make sure to comment down below your favorite Marvel movie. Right, Black Panther is really strong up there for me, and Avengers Doomsday is coming out, so maybe that'll be a good favorite once that's out. Check out the other Precon upgrades, reviews, and giveaways we've got on this channel. There's a comment for each of the 4. This is the 3rd one that we're coming out with. The last one should be coming out on Monday. And then Friday, we will be announcing on our Twitch stream the winner, twitch.tv/ChaoticCommanderMTG, and that'll be at 9:30 Central, as long as each video has 50 or more likes. So make sure to like the video, comment down below, and otherwise, I'll be making the next Precon review. And until then, you take care. Bye.